every organization like that, whether it's nonprofit or whatever, that I've ever been a part of, has had limited time, limited volunteers, and limited resources. Every single one. And so in my experience, they don't say no when you offer one of those three things.
Kirby, you say yes, I say no. You say stop, and I say go, 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 and listen to episode number 96 of the Promo Upfront podcast. I am one of your hosts, Bill Petrie. With me, as always, the Chief Petty Officer of Promo Standards himself, the one and only Kirby Hasseman. Kirby, how the heck are you?
I'm doing well. Just got back after being out of the office for a couple days. We may or may not talk about that. That's it's always good to get out, but then, man, it's good to sleep in my own bed. Good to not be up too late. Good to have my morning routine. So I'm feeling much, much better. How about you, bud?
Doing well. It's been an interesting week. We're having some work done in our backyard, and then you'll see pictures of that on social media in a couple of weeks when we're done. But unfortunately, the workers cut my fiber optic line, so we have been without internet in my house for the past 4 days. Which meant everything's been impacted. We don't have television, we don't have internet, we don't have anything. So obviously my wife of 28 years and I have spent a lot of time talking with each other, and she seems pretty nice. So that's kind of cool. But what's really got me excited is April's over. It's May. April showers bring May flowers. So we know that. So we're going to start experiencing those May flowers, Kirby. But that also means we're going to be met with vibrant colors every time we walk outside. And Kirby, I know how much you love being outside, almost as much as I do. Color is an amazing form of expression, which is why the equally amazing folks at Blue Generation offer dynamic colors for every single palette. They don't just have green, Kirby. They have Kelly green, hunter green, cactus, and sage. They don't have blue or just blue. They have royal blue, French blue, navy, and aqua. They don't just have red, Kirby. They have burgundy, sangria, and berry. That's making me thirsty, by the way. They don't have just orange. They have burnt orange, salmon, and safety orange. They don't have yellow, just yellow. They have maize and optic yellow. Kirby, obviously, I could go on and on. They literally have just about every color of the rainbow. And I know it's something that other companies in the promotional products industry just don't really have the capability to offer.
Well, at the end of the day, I mean, all of us, there's such diversity in our clientele, right? I mean, we talk about that all the time. Pretty much every company is a potential client for the promotional products industry. And with that comes a ton of different logos, a ton of different brand standards. And so the ability to kind of reach into those, not only through decoration, but through the actual apparel is really powerful.
Yeah, it really is, Kirby. I really couldn't say it any better myself. When it comes to fashion-forward apparel with color that absolutely pops, don't look any further than Blue Generation. To see all the retail-inspired garments with a fit that flatters, visit bluegeneration.com. You're not going to be sorry you did. Now, Kirby, we're approaching 100 episodes. We've covered a lot of ground in the 96 episodes, this being number 96. I have the upfront section today, and I'm angry. I'm really angry. And so I'm going on a rant, and I know this will shock you. So I'm glad you're sitting down. It's about the promotional products page on Facebook, and specifically as it relates to a post our good friend John Norris put there promoting promo standards. So he posted about a meeting of the standards committee, part of promo standards, not all of promo standards, but the standards committee. And it was a group of approximately 10 to, you've seen the picture, have you not,
sure
Kirby?
have. Yep. Mm-hmm.
And you're familiar with the post.
It was brought to my attention, so I went back and dove in because I anticipated we'd be talking about it. So please go. Yeah,
I will go. So there was a person there. I'm not going to name the person. You can go see the post. It's sitting there. But she pushed back and just said, interesting, period. No women, ... And that set the whole post on fire. There was a lot of pushback from people, but it started going downhill because her retort to that, when people were pushing back that, hey, Catherine Graham from commonsku is involved, and Ashley McCune from Facilis Group is involved. The pushback for, yes, but these are clearly men. There were things like questions like, why aren't small distributors represented? Well, they're represented by people like Proforma, who has a lot of small distributorships under their umbrella, Distributor Central, and commonsku, who smaller companies use those services. Why aren't there women, or where are the women executives? Again, Ashley McCune is on the board of directors from Facilis Group, and Catherine Graham is on the board of directors from commonsku, and we're obviously good friends with our folks at commonsku. There were still so many comments, and honestly, it just, my favorite one, where are all the boss babe women? And I got to tell you, it was the epitome of focusing on competition over collaboration. Promo Standards is a group that has been working for years trying to better the industry, trying to put us all on a standard that will make order processing much more efficient, because we all know how challenging that can be. These are people that dedicate their time, their talent, and their treasure to making sure the industry is better for everybody. And for someone to point out, hey, there's no women, making the assumption that there's no women involved is just as offensive if women weren't allowed. I said it in my response on the post. People are looking. They're on a quest to be pissed off. And you know what? They're finding it, because that's what they want. They want to be angry. They want to be cheesed off. And so they're doing it. You have to volunteer. You have to step up. You have to stand up and be counted. You have to say, I will help here. It's so easy to point at a group and saying, oh, I should be part of that group. I said this, the doors to inclusion are unlocked, and they have been for a while, and they're very welcoming. But people like to get pissed off because they have to turn the handle. They have to say, I want to be involved. Everybody thinks, well, people who know who I am and they should be coming to me. No, you have to say, I want to be part of this. It's important to me. It's important to the industry. If you haven't volunteered at your local regional, if you haven't volunteered at PPAI, if you haven't sat on a committee, shut up. I don't want to hear from you. I don't. I really, really don't. You're part of the problem. In fact, you are the problem. So Kirby, I really am hot about this. So I don't know if you agree with me. I think you do, but feel free to tell me if you agree with me or not. And I don't even know what we do here, but man, I wish these people would just shut up.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'll be honest with you. When I first saw the comments, well, first I saw the post. It was a group of folks in a boardroom kind of discussing, and I was like, cool, and moved on. And when I first saw the comments, because it was brought, the whole train was brought to my attention, I thought they were joking. I really did.
Me too.
Just because clearly, it's a group of volunteers who are trying to do something right. And I think that the unintended consequence, look, let me say the one piece is, look, as an industry, we do need to do better at diversity and inclusion. We do, that's for sure. But the way to do that is not to throw bricks at the people who are volunteering and trying to do make something better. And the problem is that you start to alienate those people who are willing to donate their time. Mm-hmm. And so let me just tell you, I've lived through that. And the whole Good Old Boys Club, I understand that there was a time where the Good Old Boys Club was, and it's probably true in some places, but in my experience, and it's funny, I just wrote about this like a day or two ago, ironically, about something locally. It didn't have anything to do with that post when I wrote the blog post, but it is the same. My experience is the people who bitch about the Good Old Boys Club almost never are willing to do the work. I say almost because I'm sure that there are people that are exceptions to that. But every time that flag is flown, I say, oh, cool. You need invited? Nobody invited me, but okay, I will personally invite you. And that happened very recently with a local initiative. And so I invited them. They showed up to one meeting and then have never been back, because it's a thankless job to do many of these volunteer things. And when you are attacked in the process, it's hard not to become jaded. I actually thought Norris handled it incredibly well in the comments, as opposed to saying, kiss my ass, which is what I think everybody was thinking. He was like, no, actually, there are diverse folks in the room. Here's a picture of them. Here's Catherine Graham. Catherine jumped in. Mark jumped in. Yep. But God bless it, folks. These folks are doing what they can to make something better. And if you've not been invited, okay, ask to be invited. If you're still not invited, start your own shit. Stop bitching.
Right. I love everything you said. And John Norris handled it with the aplomb he needed to. He handled it perfectly. You know, one of the most difficult things in the world, and I would argue this no matter what your profession is, no matter what you do, the most difficult thing in the world is to create something from nothing.
Yeah.
To take an idea and make it a reality. These are the people that did it. Men, women, Asians, Latinos, whomever. These are the people that have done that. That is a welcoming group.
Done it volunteer. Like,
yeah, that's what I mean?
Like, go ahead. I'm sorry.
You just stole my thunder. No, that's great. You're right. These are people that did it not because it was going to be profitable for them, not because it was going to make them more well known in the industry. They did it because it's the right thing to do. And that's what it takes for change to happen. People need to stand up and do things. It's real easy to point and say, oh, they should, right? Don't should on me. They should be doing it this way. They should have more women in the room. They should have more men in the room. They should have all these things. My favorite comment was actually from another woman who said, would you say the same thing to the person who said the initial quote, post or comment? Would you say the same thing if it was all women in the room? Would you say, where are all the men? Or interesting.
And by the way, they said that they would, and they would not have.
Yeah.
I don't believe that for one single solitary second.
No, and that's probably a little systemic. That's probably, unfortunately, a byproduct of that type of old boy thinking, right? We wouldn't do that. But that's just as offensive, right? So I don't know. I guess my point is with all this, and I got it off my chest, so I feel better now. Thank you. Mm-hmm. If you want to criticize, that's great. Have a solution. Be part of the solution. It's okay to criticize. Hey, I've got something to offer and I'm not part of this group. Find out how to get involved with that group. Trust me, there's not like this secret society with a handshake. This is not the Stonecutters Club on the Simpsons, okay? You can actually get involved. These are people who want all the help they can get. Kirby and I have sat on many boards, regionally, nationally, sat on committees. We want and need the help because I will tell you, volunteer burnout is real. And so trust me, everybody will take all the help they can get. They don't care what your flavor of life is.
Yeah, and again, that's totally been my experience, Bill. It's like, I think that every organization like that, whether it's nonprofit or whatever, that I've ever been a part of has had limited time, limited volunteers, and limited resources. Yep. Every single one. And so in my experience, they don't say no when you offer one of those three things.
Exactly. And like you said, some people aren't willing to do the work. They're just happy to complain. All right, Kirby, let's bring up another topic. It's your turn. This topic is our palate cleanser, and it's brought to us by our good pals over at Promo Pulse. Remember to amplify your sales by staying top of mind with all of your clients consistently through stunningly beautiful outbound marketing. Even better, it only takes 5 minutes. Just set it and forget it. Visit promopulse.io/amp. You're not going to be sorry you did, right, Kirby?
Absolutely. And it's one of those tools that's really good when you are out of the office because it keeps the outbound messaging going. And that's leads nicely into my next topic. So
I love it. So
the last couple of days I've been out of the office. You know this. I was at an OPA event. It's their sales safari. We actually moved it to a different location. For several years it was at Kalahari. And Kalahari is a great location. So I just want to say that, but I was really excited that we moved it because Kalahari is in one of those places that you can't get to Sandusky from Coshocton. You need a helicopter. It's like a 3-hour drive. And whereas we were in Akron, this North Canton, and it was like, oh, it was so easy to get in and out of. I bring it up for a couple of reasons. Number one, I just want to again continue to give kudos to OPA. This is not an event that I had anything to do with. Jeff Colley, Don Brown, LaDonna, those guys put it together. My observation is that when this style of meeting, it's an EME style meeting where it's the speed dating where, supplier, you meet one-on-one for 18 minutes and you move to the next one. They are exhausting. These meetings are exhausting. But the way OPA has it structured is at least a little bit more palatable in the sense that it's like a half day on Tuesday and then a half day by lunch, you're done on Wednesday and you go back. My observation though, is that suppliers have gotten really good at those. When trade shows was all we did, right? Like the first few of especially the regional based quick meetings like this, you'd have some great meetings, and then you'd have a
Right.
couple that were duds. I got to be honest, like I can't think of one meeting that I left and was like, oh man, there was no value in that. I felt like the suppliers really brought their A game, and I don't know if that's because they're doing more of this format,
Mhm.
or if they've just raised their level of presentation. But it's
Yeah.
hard for me to imagine going back to a bunch more trade shows now. To me,
Yeah.
this sort of meeting, and I've heard this from my team, it's like, oh, this is so much better than the traditional trade show. So I don't know if you agree with that, or if you're like, no, trade shows will be back in the wave of the future, or if you believe this is the way that this is the way we're going to do business moving forward. I'm curious.
I think it's going to be a mix, Kirby. I mean, it's going to be first of all, I think part of it is I think suppliers are more on their game now with the pandemic. I think that they really are focused when they're now back in front of people. Not that they weren't before, but I think suppliers have been much more judicious about what events we're attending, where are we allocating marketing and resources to, and so they're trying to maximize the return in those moments, right? And so I think that's why you're seeing that value. Plus, people are getting more used to and more comfortable with those EME style events, that speed dating you talked about. So I think we're on the precipice where that's not new anymore, right? So when it's new, everybody's learning and it's kind of fun and that's different. And then you get to a hill, and then it's not going to go downhill. That's a terrible analogy, but it'll get to a point where people are like, I've been to enough speed dating events. I want something else. And so all these things are cyclical. But what I do love about what you said is that it was valuable. Everyone, I cannot remember the last time I heard anybody attend an event like that and said that every meeting they had was valuable. Usually there's one or two duds involved, right? Yeah. So that's a really good thing. So to answer your question, I think you're going to continue to see a mix, Kirby. I think there are some people who get more out of a traditional trade show where they kind of set their agenda. And then you have a group of people, they get more out of a trade show or an EME style speed dating event because it's structured and they need that structure. So I think it's going to always have to be some sort of mix like that to really have the impact.
Yeah, I think for me, the thing I love about it is it forces me to have the meetings that I would have skipped in the trade show. Right? Like the mix of my business, of what, our business has, we do way more awards now. We do way more signage now than we did way back then, because I was like, oh, I'm here for 20 minutes. I'm going to listen. And you have several meetings where you go, oh, I'm wrong on this. I do need to lean into that particular category because my clients were already buying it. They're just not buying it from me. Right. And at a trade show, I would have walked right by, right? Because I'm like, oh, I don't sell that. And so it does, I think there is definitely value, but I think your point about the idea that it is cyclical is a good one. So it's, I think, but I will tell you again, kudos to the OPA group because they continue. And again, I'm on the board. So keep my, keep my 2 cents, a little bit, consider my bias, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But but man, they do. And you felt. They do lean into trying to be progressive. I was actually just talking to a member of PPAI today about that we actually had this meeting, the sales safari at Kalahari in August of 2020. And I went back and I remember that. That was a
lifetime ago.
That was a lifetime ago. And it was like, it's the reason I love doing vlogs, by the way. It is my like memory bank. I get to go back and watch because when we did that, I was just like, I hope this goes.
I remember when you did it and you guys pulled it off. One thing as I was listening to you speak, if I'm PPAI or ASI, why can't I do a trade show, a big trade show, but have an EME style component to it where suppliers might pay a premium to have a separate meeting space that's structured, and there's some sort of reduction in cost to distributors, maybe a flight credit or something like that to get them to do it. Now, see, if I'm PPAI, that's the type of stuff I'm thinking about, how to be progressive and ASI. But I don't work there. Neither do you. So maybe they listen, maybe they don't. Who knows? But I think it's a hell of an idea.
It's whenever you speak, people listen, Bill.
I don't believe that for a second, and certainly not in my house.
Fair.
All right.
Now you have internet back. That shouldn't be a problem.
That's right. You got that. Speaking of internet, you're familiar with the Google, right?
I've heard I've heard of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they have a new career certificate in digital marketing and e-commerce. I don't know if you saw this. Pretty
Mm-mm.
interesting. So what their goal is to help job seekers and employers acquire the necessary skills to be successful in online business. And it's endorsed by the American Association of Advertising Agencies. They're called the 4As. That's a terrible acronym, but whatever. The American Advertising Federation, the AAF. And so additionally, they're having this online course, they're giving every business in the United States, that's right, every single business, up to 500 career certificate scholarships to help upskill employees. That got my attention.
Yeah,
That got my attention. And so it's going to be hands-on experience with things like Constant Contact, Hootsuite, HubSpot, MailChimp, Shopify, Google Analytics to really help people. So it's really targeted at kind of entry-level stuff, but it gives people that digital certificate that will help them maybe find and land a job. What do you think about that, Kirby?
Yeah, no, I think that's really interesting. The idea that we're leaning into providing value to employees. I think, and obviously Google would be providing this, but the idea that more and more employers are not just looking at the transactional benefit to the employer, but the idea of investing, as it were. Now, obviously there wouldn't be a big investment here, but the idea of investing time, allowing people, to kind of level up their game. I like, not only do I love the concept of Google doing it, but I love that that's a shift that we're sort of making in our business culture. There's the old saying that the CFO says, what if we train all these people and they leave? And the CEO says, what if we don't and they stay? I love the concept that we want to allow people to level up and become passionate. Because at the end of the day, if you are passionate about what you're doing, you're going to be better as an employee and better to customers and all that sort of thing. So overall, based on what I know about it, super thumbs up.
Totally agree with everything you said. I love it. I love it. I love it. And the other smart thing about it that Google's doing is they are now positioning themselves to be kind of weird. When you think of digital marketing, you want to make sure your people have a certificate from Google, right? It's just that very subtle integration of that brand into other areas, which I absolutely freaking love. They actually offer, so I think it's great. So I agree with you. I'm not going to belabor the point. They offer job placement assistance to people who earn one of these certificates within a consortium of 150 companies who will consider that certificate relevant for entry-level jobs, which I think, again, really, really cool. It doesn't require a degree or experience, and you can complete it in 3 to 6 months. So if you want to learn more about it, and honestly, I think it's brilliant. Go to Coursera.com. That's COURSERA.com. And you can look up the Google Digital Marketing and E-commerce certificate.
Okay, so as a side note, like literally, I just wrote it down because that's really interesting. From a community perspective, my community, Shockton, we're looking to try and not only, get the best young talent, but we want to keep talent, right? Like, so for years, we have an incredible scholarship program from our community. We've got a lot of generous folks. But what we found is, folks leave here, they get a degree, and then they don't come back. And so one of the big pushes for our community is to, yes, we want to continue the scholarship program, but allow kids to know that there are opportunities to come back, if that makes sense. But I wonder if, as a part of that campaign, that you say, look, we want better entry-level employees, tying the Coursera website to that. So while you're telling people about internships and telling them about entry-level jobs, these are simple ways you could level up. That's really interesting.
I think what we're really seeing is a seismic shift into where we used to live in a society where companies are like, hey, we want you to be loyal to us.
Right.
Now we're seeing that shift to, we want to invest in you as a potential employee to make sure that your skills are valuable and relevant, period.
Okay. That's really, I think that's really cool. I'm glad you brought that up. Final quick topic, just because and honestly, I was not going to do it, but because it relates so much to what you just brought. So Apple,
and real quick, before you do that, Apple, we're going to have a party in the back. We've got a fun little party in the back, a surprise one today. So go ahead, Apple.
Okay. So Apple is being called out for return to the office hypocrisy. Employees are being frustrated with the idea that Apple is forcing them to come back to work. Tim Cook has said that argues that in-person work and collaboration is irreplaceable. I actually kind of get where he's coming from on that, but the idea is that Apple is marketing themselves as tools that you can use to work from home. And so employees are coming out going, well, then if we're creating tools that are great to work from home, why can't we as Apple employees do that? I thought that was an interesting level of when you said, hey, the company needs to invest in the employees, that Apple's actually being called out for that was an interesting transition. So just
I think it's a tough solution, right? Not every job is work from home. Manufacturing is not work from home, guys. If you're manufacturing, got to go back to work.
Yeah.
There is something different about collaborating through the vehicle of video communications, like what we're using to record this podcast, and you and I sitting next to each other. It's just different. It just is. So, I think what you have to kind of marry the two, right? I wouldn't market it as, hey, tools to work from home. It's tools for an active lifestyle, so you can have flexibility. Because there is value in being in. I do believe there's value in being in the office, but not all the time. I think, again, hybrid. That's the way we're going for most white collar jobs, I think.
Yeah. It's like I've said a million times. I love the ability to work from home. I don't want to have to work from home.
Well, exactly. I used to say, and I've said a variation of the same thing. I loved working from home until I was forced to do it.
So totally. All right, man.
All right, Kirby, you got a quick, no, don't be. That was awesome. I'm glad you brought it up. Here's what you're really glad I'm bringing up, Kirby. So there's a quick party in the back. We do a fun little thing every once in a while. And this one, I had an idea and I'm like, absolutely. It took me 5 minutes to do, and it's completely against everything you stand for. So this is why I love it. So we talked about the ridiculous PPP, promotional project professionals discussion, people complaining just for the sake of complaining. So Kirby, what I'm going to give you just something, and I want you to find a way to complain about it. Okay.
Okay. That's not really my MO, but I'll try.
That's what I said. It goes against everything you are.
Okay.
All right, Kirby, rainbows.
Well, I mean, the fact of the matter is you wouldn't have that if it hadn't rained.
Perfect. That's exactly that. Proof of concept. Love it. Puppies.
Dude, they shit everywhere.
Yep. Lollipops.
Diabetes is a real problem in this country.
And you got to throw away the stick.
That's true.
Unit. Yeah. Winning a pyramid award from PPAI.
Well, I mean, it should have been a gold.
Love it. I actually like the heavy sigh before it, which does two things. One, it really gives you a sense of exasperation, but two, and more importantly, gives you a chance to think about what you're going to say. I love that. All right, Kirby, a perfectly cooked steak.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I can't complain.
Come on. All right. Landing a Fortune 500 client.
Oh man, they're going to be so demanding.
This should have been a Jeopardy board because you're nailing every one. This is going to be a tough one for you.
Okay.
Front row seats to a Jimmy Buffett concert.
Dude. That's really hard to complain about because that's a pretty amazing atmosphere.
It's going to be hell getting out of the venue.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Transportation getting out of there. Honestly, I've been to Jimmy a bunch of times. It's pretty much one of my favorite atmospheres on the earth.
I know. Okay. Three more quick ones. Ohio State University wins the National Football Championship.
Oh, there's going to be haters from people like Alabama that say that we didn't deserve it.
Yeah. There's going to be all sorts of investigations. Second
actually
last
probably
one.
True.
A Mexico vacation with you and your bride.
Oh man. Honestly, again, you're making this really hard. I would say that the travels, it's pretty long travel day.
See, my thought you were going to say is I got to go the night before. Got to get up at 4 a.m. because
I know.
We live in a smaller town.
COVID test. That's okay. I hate COVID tests.
All right, last one, Kirby. Recording the Promo Upfront podcast on a weekly basis with me.
Oh, there's nothing to complain about there.
Oh, I don't believe that.
Dude, we've had a long marriage, Bill. I found in my other marriage that it doesn't help with me pointing out flaws.
Well, I understand that, but what does help you, Kirby, as a distributor, if you are looking to make sure that your client has access to every color virtually of the rainbow when it comes to apparel, you look no further than Blue Generation. They really do have just about every color. I'm not going to run through them. Just picture the rainbow and not just red and green and yellow and orange. But think about the different hues: sage, cactus, optic yellow, French blue, maize. Think about all those different things, and they have those in stock. So you want to learn more about how you can really leverage the powerful communication that really is color for you and your clients to help them get their message across. Head over to bluegeneration.com. You're not going to be sorry you did. Kirby, I'm not sorry that we recorded this podcast a little later in the week, and I want to thank you for having the grace to do it. And thank you, AT&T, for fixing my internet